Hey everyone, today we are looking at results again, and this one's a pretty big one, right? Because we are looking at BCS Indonesia, which is the first big tournament which is running the new restriction list for the English format. Now, unfortunately for us this time, Bushiro did not post the top 4 deck lists of each thing of each format, so we're gonna have to just take a look and speculate at what they are. But we also have the AMAGASAKI Cup, Regional Cup for Japan, which is also quite cool. They had a cool playmat. Unfortunately, I can't go because I'm in Australia. Very sad. Very sad. Anyway, let's get started. So first off, let's look at V Premium here. You've had a nice look at this. Quite an interesting lineup. Only one Steam made it through. While there were 2 Royal Paladins, 2 Jewel Knights, then a bunch of random stuff. We have a Gurguit, we have a Great Nature, Narukami, an Odge, and then a Maelstrom. And then what actually converted was the one Jewel Knight by Gary Stefanis, then the Maelstrom for Ari Wiria, and then we have Hernando Sestra with the Steam Maiden, and then 4th place we got Faisal Maharon with the Great Nature. Now we were able to get 2 of these decks. The first one was this Maelstrom list, and again, like Maelstrom, I'm guessing, how was this successful? Let's kind of think about it. You rush, you have a guard restrict that is still very, very annoying for a Steam Maiden player to have, right? Because if you just can't guard the attack, you just take the damage. And that can basically be what happens. So another way to kind of run with this deck. And then we also have the Great Nature build, which is running a very, very high rolly Great Nature with Culture Gorilla. So when you think about the format, hey, you know, this deck does pretty poorly against Steam Maidens because Steam Maiden is just faster. How do we fix this problem? Well, we go higher, right? We roll higher. If we Gorilla, right? You know, doesn't matter. You know how much hand they get or like whatever they do. They're just dead. They're just straight up dead. So quite interesting there. Running a bunch of the Hamskes as well. That kind of I think this puts a card from hand into soul to kind of high roll the 3s for that Culture Gorilla. Yeah, here we go. Just high roll this soul, I mean. So yeah, that's kind of interesting take on the Great Nature build so far. We've been seeing a lot of the Leopold decks. They're just kind of stable, consistent. But this one just going, let's not play that game because we can't, right? Interestingly enough, as well, there were no Luards, right? Even though Luard can be played. Bit of everything. We'll kind of see what happens through the rest of the formats. Of course, this is the Asia region. You know, when we look at the Americas and the European regions, they are very, very different as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, right? Moving on, we have Premium, right? And here we have the 2 Bermuda Triangles making it, and then 1 Narukami, 1 Pale Moon, Aqua Force, Spike Brothers, Grand Blue, and the Murakumo. So overall, it still looks, again, first tournament. Things are still developing, but, you know, so far it looks like quite a bit of everything. And then the top cut, though, we do have Steven Bediono with the Highlander deck, then followed by the Derek Dow with the other Highlander deck. And then we have David Adipatama, otherwise known as Wirab, with the Ak Force deck. And then we have Johannes Musa with the Spike Brothers deck. Fortunately, don't have any of these lists. Of course, you could say that, hey, you know, Derek playing Highlander and Wirab playing... Actually, Wirab playing Ak Force like a normal thing. We don't know if that is entirely meta or not. Ripples did get hit, so maybe this looks like a Thavis list instead. But these double Highlander tops seem quite cool. Maybe this is the beginning of the new meta. But maybe or maybe not. Still, again, it's still quite early. We'll have to see what kind of develops from here. And then lastly, for Standard, Indonesia was basically... very, I don't know, it seems really standard, I guess. Like, we got 3 Karis, 2 Gravity, 2 Nirvana, and 1 Flagberg. I mean, if we were to talk about some of the strongest decks currently in the format, I would say it's like these 3, right? I would say it's like these 3. Maybe Flagberg, but again, Flagberg, I don't know if they can play the new promo yet, because that comes out in the sneak peek. And if they're running this tournament, how are they going to get the sneak peek card? Because they can't. Right, so yeah, 1 Flagberg though still doing pretty good. Let's kind of look at what actually just topped, and we can see here we got Pauline's Richard with the 1 Kairi, then we got the Kaya Mulia with the only Gravidia in the top 4. We have Derek again right, with the other Kyrie, and then we got Gregorius Arif with another Kyrie. So, yeah, triple Kyrie in the top 4. Kind of, I don't know. I feel like standards so far is quite still quite open, right? You know, you still have the Nirvana, you still have the Gravity in the end. And I mean, we see in America lots of flag break. Nothing has really changed much in standard, except for maybe Shelling Cannon Dragon getting released. That's gonna be a big buff to Flagberg. But apart from that, you know, last time in Mexico as well, we had the 3 Seraphs are in top 4. So there's kind of been a bit of everything. Will like AO just be full of Kyries? I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see. So that's kind of that. Anyway, that is it for Indonesia. Again, very quick, no deck list. That's how it is. But let's kind of look at what's happening in Set 7 Tournament Land with the AMAGASAKI Cup. Hey, look at these. This is a really cool mat. I wish they did these mats for English. But let's kind of take a look at what happened, at least in the top 8s. What did people bring for teams? With the Diversity Cup for Amagasaki, for the Amagasaki Cup, I think the cutoff was 3rd place. So everything 4th and onwards is a Diversity cut, right? But let's kind of look at top 8. This is what was the placings before Swiss. We'll look at this first before we find out what was in top 4. First team took the Nirvana, Youthberg, and the Gravidia line. Then 2nd place took a Bruce, Michu, and then doing the Youthberg TD line to kind of skirt around the diversity cut kind of thing. Then in 3rd place, I have a very interesting team taking the Ava Thegria and the Bavsagra ride line. The Thegria recently got a PR that I guess it's kind of mixed. A lot of people think it's good. A lot of people think it's okay. At least we're seeing something going on here. So at least it's kind of done well. And then in 4th place, which is the beginning of the Diversity Cut, we have Baron Magnus, Seraph, and then the Youthberg. Then 5th place, we have Seraph, Overlord, and the Youthberg. Then in 6th place, we see another Blue Zorga again. I think like last time we also saw another Blue Zorga. But then they also took the Youthberg Overlord line as well. Then the Gravidia Overlord and Youthberg line. And then lastly, we had the Sneaky Bastion with the Gravidia and Nirvana. But let's look at the top 4. So the first place, the overall winner was the Youthberg, Baron Magnus, and Seraph. And then the 2nd place was the Bastion team. And then the 3rd place was that Michu team. And then 4th place, which is, you know, probably the meta picks, right? Nirvana, Youthberg, and the Gravidia. Let's kind of look at the decks. So the first place team, we have just the good old Youthberg that is doing very well. Pretty normal build so far. Again, no zest in this. Still running the Schneisels. But yeah, basically, actually, this has a lower kind of Revel Dress line. If we look at it, it's only running 6. So it's going just the 4 Tempest, because Tempest is good. But then only 2 of the Gust and just nothing else, right? Literally just nothing else. That's kind of interesting. That's actually kind of interesting to see, right? Because one of the more annoying problems with this deck is that you just get a handful of grade 3s. And the thing is, all your grade 3s are good. You just can't use all of them. And that just means you're dead. Because you just have no kind of defensive power, right? Even at least having 5k defensive power, it's better than having a no K defensive power. But at the same time, that also means you're cutting down on like things like the Guard Restrict grade 3 that kind of works really well with, like, you know, a 10k boost and things like that. So that's kind of interesting to see. This was the first place team. Then they took the Baron Magnus. So the Baron Magnus is basically just the old deck with new techs, right? The two new orders, just really working in one of the new grade 2s. It's all right. I think like just the 1 copy seems like just like kind of nice tech card or something like that. Try it out. And the third deck we have is just the good old Seraph. It's like the Uzume build, a very standard build so far of the entire deck. So pretty cool. Then in the 2nd place team, we've got your good old Nirvana with. Does this one run 4 Amelia? There it is, 4 Amelias, 2 Virenas, very standard that we're probably seeing here. But then the second one here is the Gravidia line, is again right. And then the last one is the Bastion. So the Bastion running the form up order as well. And then, you know, grade 4 Bastion. But the rest of the deck seems just pretty straightforward. We saw people running more of some of the, like, the new grade 3s from set 7 that makes you play a full field. But this is literally just running the old stuff, because the old stuff still works with form ups. So, hey, I guess that's that, right? Then in the third place team, we have the grade 3 Bruce deck, running some of the jeweled grade 1 tech, which is quite cool to see as well. And then we have their second, the Michu, right, which is probably the best ride line from the new Lyrical Set 3. And then the third deck they brought was just a straight up Youthberg deck, and this one is quite, kind of more normal, I guess. Actually, no, it's not. It's not normal. It is running the TD ride line, which I said before works pretty well in the diversity cut. Just lets you get more Persona ride. But then running like a full line of grade 3s, a lot of grade 3s, right? You look at this 10 other grade 3s on top of your normal Persona ride stuff. 2 of the grade 3 guard restrict, also 1 zest, which is like interesting. Cutting out entirely the Katawala, but only running like 2 Schneisels. Yeah, and then interestingly enough, only 2 of the 10k boosters, right? We saw a lot of players still run 4 of this because, hey, the 10k booster. But this person is running the grade 3 like guard streak, but only 2 of this, so that's kind of a weird lineup, right? So hey, I don't know, right? They did well with the deck, so yeah, it is what it is, right? And then the fourth place team ran a pretty standard Nirvana, rocking some of the new, the old Shimina stuff, which is seeing some more play, cutting some of the Amelias. So we're only running 2 Amelias. I think at that point, I feel like you just kind of not run the Amelias, right? Just make it a hyper consistent deck. Then the Youthberg here, sporting a 4 Katawala lineup, only running 1 Schneisel, but also running some Lepistos, which is interesting, right? Still running some grade 3s in this build. Well, a lot of people just run like the guard restrict just because for the finisher, this one's going for the Lepisto. So yeah, maybe, I guess. And then the last we got the Gravidia line as well. So Gravidia still performing very, very well. Got some Calm Mind rushes now, so works great, right? Works great. So that is pretty much it for the entirety of this deck. Let's kind of take a look at the Thegria list as well. So here is that Thegria list running. We can see here we got 3 of that new PR order that seems to be, it seems to be good, right? This is basically probably what's giving at least Thegria some kind of nice kind of kudos, some extra power that we're seeing in the Japanese meta. Of course, this deck is more popular in the West than it is in the East, but it seems like maybe we'll start seeing this pop up quite a bit just because of the order, right? Unfortunately, this deck didn't make it all the way to the top 4, died in top 8. It is what it is. It's still a team event, but hey, maybe this is Thegria getting a bit of a revival. So that is it again for this week. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think of the new format for Vanguard, at least for the English format? And I will see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.